Most people either arrive in the north, Hanoi, or in the south, Ho Chi Minh. I started in the south, so I will start from there. As it was my first time in Asia, I really enjoyed Ho Chi Minh because everything was new to me. Ho Chi Minh has a nice party street, but you really want to get out of the city as soon as possible because you go to Vietnam not for the cities, but for the beautiful surroundings. The first place you want to go to is Can Tho. Can Tho is famous for their floating markets. For a few dollars they'll take you on a boat ride where, if you wish, you can buy some fruits or vegetables or a drink. You have to get up very early though, because it's only in the morning. If you want to know more about the war history of Vietnam, I recommend a visit to the Cu Chi tunnels, where you will get a tour of the underground tunnel network in Vietnam. After passing Ho Chi Minh again, Mui Ne or Nha Trang will be your first stop. Both are beach towns, so if you're looking for a relaxing beach day after the busy city, go there. Mui Ne is recommended by many instead of Nha Trang, but Mui Ne is also the only town where the police is corrupt against foreign motorbikers and will force you to pay a high fine if they stop you. So, if you drive a motorbike, you might want to think twice about visiting Mui Ne. On the left side of Nha Trang is Dalat. Besides some cool bars like the Maze Bar and a clothing market, there's not that much going on directly in the city, but it was one of my favorite places because of what's to see around the city. There are several big waterfalls to see, the famous Elephant Waterfall and many others. There's a Weasel Poop Coffee Farm, Crazy House, an artistic house designed by a Vietnamese architect. Then there's Claytown, a city of clay. Pagodas, and much more. The next possible stop is the Ninh Van Backpacker Resort. A backpacker resort with a backpacker hostel with resort amenities. Many backpackers love it. I didn't really like it because even though the dorm room price was reasonable, everything around it was expensive. Then you must stop at Hoi An. It's one of the towns in Vietnam where the old town is well preserved. There are many nice old buildings, many colorful lampoons, nice restaurants and good party life, and by bicycle you can see the beautiful surrounding or go to the beach. Close to Hue is Da Nang. I enjoyed making a stop at Marble Mountains, which I did when I was still in Hoi An. But besides a beach and an airport, there isn't much else to do in Da Nang. Then Hue. Between Da Nang and Hue is the Hai Van Pass, a pass with beautiful surroundings which became famous through the TV series Top Gear. If you're used to New Zealand surroundings, you might get disappointed since it's only about 10 kilometers of nice surrounding, but it's nice. If you want, you can rent a motorbike one way from Hoi An to Hue. Hue used to be the capital of Vietnam. There is the Citadel where the emperor used to live, and there's also an abandoned water park which is nice to visit. After Hue there's Phong Nha. Phong Nha definitely has one of the most beautiful surroundings I've seen in Vietnam. You can take a boat tour through the caves or a tour or bike ride around the mountains. And explore other caves if you want to. Next stop is Ninh Binh, or actually Tam Kak is the street where you want to stay. There's not much to do in Ninh Binh itself. The street Tam Kak offers a boat ride, and also 10 km further in Ninh Binh is the Trang and Gratu's boat ride. I did both and they are very similar. I think the Trang and Gratu's was better since it had a pretty cool long cave. Then we go to Kapa Island and Halong Bay. There's not that much to see on Kapa Island, but if you're with a group you can get a cheaper boat ride on Halong Bay if you start from Kapa Island. Both are in the same area and it's all about the boat ride. we made it to Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. It has a nice lake and other things a city offers, like Asian and European food, some cultural things and party life. I especially like the mall since I didn't see clothing that I actually liked in a long time. Left of Hanoi, close to China, is Sapa. Sapa is a town built on a hill. It kind of felt like a ski town in Switzerland. We stayed at a homestay on a hill next to the main city and experienced how it is to live in a Vietnamese farm. You can also visit Ha Giang, which is about 200 kilometers north of Sapa. It's supposed to be a very nice surrounding, but after I'd seen the rest of Vietnam, it didn't add much to my trip. A cheap meal in a restaurant is 30,000 dong, $1.30. You get a hamburger and fries, or noodles with vegetables or something similar for that. In more expensive areas it might be up to 50,000, which is $2.30. Beer is between 40 and $50 for a can or a normal bottle. Most other alcohol is more expensive. How to travel? You can buy a motorbike between 200 and 300 US dollar. I bought mine on the Facebook page Vietnam Backpacker Travel and Sales. Since I did have some issues with my motorbike, I will make a separate video about this. You can also travel by bus. I don't think one is cheaper than the other, it's just that with a bus you will only visit the bigger cities unless you rent a motorbike. But if you own a motorbike, you will be able to stop whenever you want and see everything that happens in between. You will have to deal with stopping more often and having bike breakdowns though. If you're with a group, don't exclude a private car. It might seem expensive, but we noticed when my mom was here that for 4 people it was cheaper to rent a private car to go somewhere than buy 4 bus tickets. What about hostels and hotels? A dorm room in a hostel is on average between $4 and $5. A cheap hotel room is around $10 and a luxurious hotel room around $35. Also, I must add that I have not felt unsafe in any part of Vietnam in all my trip. My conclusion is that I've never traveled in a country yet that was cheaper than Vietnam, and also I was surprised by how many beautiful surroundings Vietnam had to offer. I traveled all the way from Vietnam to Cambodia through Laos. To give you an idea about the country, Laos has a little under 7 million inhabitants, and neighbor country Vietnam, which is about the same size, has over 90 million inhabitants. I traveled from north to south, so I will start in the north. The first town I recommend to visit is Nong Khia, a little town above Luang Prabang. It has a good combination between being an authentic Laos town and having many outdoor activities like fishing, trekking, kayaking, visiting a waterfall, doing a boat trip, or visiting the caves. Also, there are many nice bars. The second place is Luang Prabang. Although a bit more expensive to stay than many other places in Laos, definitely worth a visit. There's the Quang Si waterfall, a nice evening market, like a fairy tale. And then there are the monks that walk over the street early morning to receive a little bit of rice from the many locals offering it to them. The next stop is Vang Vieng. a town that became famous because it offered tubing on a river with many bars selling alcohol and drugs. Although the tubing still exists, the drug scene doesn't exist anymore, and the town has changed towards an outdoor-oriented town that offers kayaking, ziplining, waterfalls and caves. Then Vientiane, the capital of Laos. To me, not more than a big city with nice restaurants and nice hotels. There is a morning market and a mall, but they didn't really appeal to me. There are some cultural things which are nice to visit though, like this gold-covered stupa which is printed on many Laos banknotes. A little south of Vientiane is the Buddha Park. It was a short stop, but I really liked it. It was nice to see all these weird Buddha and Hindu statues. In Tak Hek and Pakse you have the possibility to do a loop with a motorbike. I did not do these myself. Tak Hek is literally against the Mekong River and has Thailand on the other side, and also has a few nice bars and restaurants. This made it a nice stop for us on our way south. Pakse I decided not to stay when I passed it, since the city didn't appeal that much to me. My last stop were the 4,000 Islands, an island group in a river. Next to Vang Vieng with its many outdoor activities, this was my favorite stop in Laos. The island has everything to entertain young and old for several days. Food. The cheapest I found was 10,000 keep, or $1.20 for a cheap sandwich or a pancake, or $1.80 for a more expensive sandwich or pancake, and 5,000 keep, or $60 for a fresh fruit shake. In more expensive places it was about twice as expensive. On average we had breakfast or an evening meal between $3 and $6 per person. How to travel? I travel by motorbike, which allowed me to see the country in a different way. The roads between Hanoi, Vietnam and Nong Khia are not so good. Many bad roads and also many hills with an incline of 10 to 12%. The main road from north to south is really good. Also at the border between Laos and Cambodia they did not allow me to take my motorbike over the border. The only places in Laos that have hostels are Luang Prabang, Vientiane and Vang Vieng. I stayed mainly in hotels and noticed that on booking.com hotels are usually around $13 to $15. But if you go scout around yourself, you can easily find a hotel which is about half of that, $7 to $8. Seeing the fact that there are only a few cities to see, not that many hotels or guest houses, and that the distances in between are relatively long, I think buses are the best way to go. My overall conclusion is that it's definitely worthwhile to visit. It's more expensive than Vietnam, the population is much smaller and there's less to see and less variety in the environment. Because of this, if you want to see both countries, I'd spend more time in Vietnam and a little less in Laos, but definitely go see it.
It's the night we come alive. To live and to love, you don't need much, you got the pieces. Beyond and above.
After Vietnam and Laos, I traveled through Cambodia. Cambodia has about 16 million inhabitants. Neighbor country Vietnam, which is about half the size bigger, has 6 times the amount of inhabitants. I started in Siem Reap, famous for its huge temple Angkor Wat. Siem Reap is really a town that comes to life in the night. There are several night markets. There's a food night market where you can get everything from insects to fruit shakes. Then there's an art market. And of course the famous pub street, where most bars in Vietnam, Laos and Cambodia close at 12, the partying on pub street goes on until late. Next I visited island Koh Rong San Lum, which is next to the bigger island Koh Rong. Koh Rong is a busy, more party island, which I didn't visit. I went to the more quiet Koh Rong San Loon. It's an amazing island with beautiful beaches and a very chill vibe. There's so much beach that it's easy to find a spot for yourself alone. Close by is Sihanoukville, or actually it's Otres Beach where you go to. It has a nice street full of hotels, hostels and restaurants. On a 20-minute walk distance, there is a beautiful beach with about 30 restaurants, bars and also a few hostels and hotels. Then I visited Kampot. Kampot is a nice small city with many restaurants and bars. It's very cheap over there. I mainly enjoyed the riverside with many floating bars and restaurants. Very close to Kampot is Kap. In Kap itself is not that much to do, but if you're in a relationship, this is the perfect getaway. You can either book a private room like this in front of Rabbit Island for only $10, or you can spend a day on a quiet Rabbit Island with a hotel room for only $8. But remember, there's no water or electricity over there and the boat only goes 3 times per day. Then the capital, Phnom Penh. I really enjoy doing a tuk-tuk drive through the city. Besides the possibility to go to the killing fields, there wasn't much else that attracted me in the city itself. Food. On average you pay for a cheap meal $2.50 and for a bit more expensive meal $4. On the street you can get it a little bit cheaper, like $1 to $2. For a beer you pay between 50 cents and $1. How to travel? I traveled half the way by motorbike and the other half by bus. Distances between cities are quite far and that's why I think it's better to just travel by bus and occasionally rent a motorbike. Hostels and hotels. Hostel prices for a dorm room were on average between $3 and $6. That we are done. Oh, hands in the air like I don't care. Music is fair to me singing. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Oh, love's in the air and I don't care. Music is a cheap hotel room was between $10 and $15. There are for sure a few other small places worth visiting in Cambodia which I skipped because I had already seen so much culture of Vietnam and Laos. Also, you don't go to Vietnam, Laos or Cambodia to spend much time in the cities. The big cities are good if you need to buy something specific or to work, but the real beauty in these countries lies in the smaller towns and countryside. If you ask me, depending on how much time you have to see these countries, spent most in Vietnam, it has a wide variety of landscapes and is the cheapest country. A tiny bit less time in Cambodia, which is still very beautiful, but a little bit more expensive. And then spend the rest of your time in Laos. Beautiful, but just a little longer distances to places and a little less to see. Have fun on your travels!